Greetings and welcome back to another Professor Reed walkthrough. For this assignment, we're going to look at Word to G, letters, and resume. Let's begin. So first, we're going to go ahead and scroll down to our assignment. And once you find your Word to G, letter, and resume, let's go ahead and open it up. We'll go ahead and download our materials. Once again, I do not recommend that you hit download all files. When you click download all files, it downloads as a zip file and can cause some problems when you go to submit your file later if you don't extract it properly. So go ahead and just let's download every individual file. We'll need our instructions, our student file. It will have your name, the final results if you'd like, and the letter text, as we will use that to import some text later on into our document. And then we'll go ahead and open up our student file. If need be, go ahead and hit enable editing. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit to make this easier for you guys to see. So here we are. We have our letter and resume. What we're going to do for this assignment is we're going to show you how to format a letter, how to use some of the features in Words to make that easier. And we're also going to show you how to create a resume in Word. So first things first. As always, when we start our assignments, go ahead and make sure you turn on your paragraph markings up here under the Home tab. Your paragraph markings, turn those on. You'll know those are on when you see the page break and you see these little icons here. The next thing, if you don't have it turned on already, let's go to the View tab and let's put a check mark next to the ruler right here. That way we have access to our ruler if we need it. And then I'll go ahead and go back to the Home tab here and we'll start off. We've already downloaded our file, so we're done with step 1. So for step number 2, we need to add our file name to the footer. So let's go ahead and go to our Insert tab. Anytime you want to insert something, it's usually under the Insert tab. From the Insert tab, we'll go to the Header Footer grouping. Click on the footer icon. We'll scroll down to Edit Footer. Once we're in our footer area, notice that we have our contextual tab. We're going to find our grouping that says Insert right here, and we'll do Document Info and File Name. And the reason why we put the file name in this way instead of typing it in is if your file name changes, this will automatically update. For step number 2, it also asks us to display the ruler and formatting marks, which we already did, so we're good there. So now just go ahead and close out of your header and footer. Continue on with step number 2. It wants us to click in the blank paragraph below the header letterhead. So this right here is the blank paragraph. So it wants us to click right here in front of this paragraph mark. And it wants us to hit enter 2 times. 1, 2. And it wants us to use the date and time command to insert the current date using the third format. So again, let's go to the Insert tab. Under the Insert tab, under the text grouping here, notice that we have date and time. Once again, using that screen tip, you can always hover over something and find where it says insert date and time. We'll go ahead and click on that. It wants us to use the third format, so 1, 2, 3, the May 12th, or the third one down that puts the month first. Go ahead and click on that and hit OK. Now it wants us to hit enter 2 times. And it wants us to type Dr. period space Vicky AURELIAS comma space director and hit enter. It wants us to type in capital cities, community college, career center, hit enter, and 1 Eisenhower Avenue, and hit enter again. Alexandria Virginia, capital VA, space 22314, and hit enter. Stop here, double check, make sure everything is spelled correctly. Make sure all the things are capitalized properly. I misspelled Alexandria, so I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, and there it is, Alexandria. I'm going to click on the correct spelling and just make sure it is all spelled properly. Now it wants us to select the first 3 lines. So let's go ahead and select these first 3 lines of the inside address. That's what this is. It's called our inside address. So once you've highlighted those 3 lines, don't highlight the Alexandria, Virginia. It wants us to change the spacing after to 0 point. So we'll come to our layout tab here. Notice that we have our paragraph grouping. It says after spacing is 8 points. Let's go ahead and change that to 0. And notice how it brings it all together and makes it look a little bit cleaner. And we are done with step number 2. For step number 3, it wants us to click in the blank paragraph below the address. So once again, it's this blank paragraph right here where it says underneath Alexandria. And it wants us to type Dear Dr. period space AURELIAS. And then make sure you get a colon there. Make sure it's a colon, not a semicolon. And hit enter. And now it wants us to insert the text from that document that we downloaded. So to do that, we're going to go to our insert tab, because anytime we want to insert something, usually it's the insert tab. We're going to come over to the text grouping, and I'm going to click the down arrow next to object. And I'm going to do text from file. Go ahead and navigate to our downloads folder, because that's most likely where it's at. And there it is, the W02G letter text. I'll click on that and hit insert. And there it is, it inserts all of the text of our document into our assignment. Once everything is inserted in, it wants us to hit the backspace 1 time to get rid of this blank line right here under William Franklin. So just hit the backspace key once, and it'll get rid of that blank paragraph. And we are done with step number 3. For step number 4, it wants us to click at the top of our document. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scroll up, and I'm going to put my cursor. I'm just going to put my cursor right in front of the W for Will Franklin. And it wants me to find and replace all instances of listing with posting. Well, there's a way we can do that all at once. So let's go to our home tab. And from our home tab, we can come over here to our editing grouping right here and click on the replace icon, the replace button right here. And what are we going to find? We're going to find listing, all lowercase, L-I-S-T-I-N-G, listing. And we want to replace it with posting, P-O-S-T-I-N-G, all lowercase. So find what? Listing, replace with, posting. And we're going to hit replace all. And it says all done, we made 2 replacements, which is perfect. That's what we want. So go ahead and hit OK, and then go ahead and hit close. And we are now done with step number 4. For step number 5, it says in the letter text, in the paragraph that begins in the job announcement. So let's go ahead and find where that is first. So right here, here's the paragraph. It says in the job announcement. It wants us to use the thesaurus, pane, or the synonyms command on the shortcut menu to change the word specific to explicit and credentials to qualifications. Well, that's easy. So let's go ahead and find, has indicated specific requirements. Here is specific. Go ahead and right click on specific. Hover over the synonyms. Unfortunately, I do not see explicit right here. So let's go ahead and click on thesaurus. And looking here, I see explicit. You have to hit the down arrow next to explicit and hit insert. And what that's going to do is it's going to replace explicit for specific. And it wants us to change credentials to qualifications. So let's go ahead and right click on credentials, hover over synonyms. And in this case, notice that it is in our list right there. It's qualifications. It's right there in our list. Go ahead and just click on it. And it will put it in for us. And we are done with our thesaurus. I like using the thesaurus in my work because it makes me sound a little bit smarter than I really am. So now moving to step number 6, it says in the paragraph that begins, I currently live in Arlington. So I currently live in Arlington. It wants us to select the first sentence and move it and drag it to the end of the same paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to highlight, I currently live in Arlington, but would be willing to relocate. So I'm going to highlight that, including that period. Make sure you get that period at the end. Once you have it highlighted, you can go ahead and hover over it. Notice that I get my little cursor there. I'm going to go ahead and come up here to the front because it makes it easier for me. So where it says I currently, I'm going to go ahead and click hold, and I'm going to drag to the end of that paragraph right after business and let go. And it's going to move that sentence to the end of our paragraph. And we are done with step number 6. For step number 7, it says at the beginning of the paragraph that begins, I could be available. So let's see here. It says click at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor right here in front of I. And it wants me to hit the enter button to add a blank line. So hit enter. And then using the up arrow key, go ahead and put your cursor right here in front of this paragraph marking. To insert a table, we go to our Insert tab. From our Insert tab, we want to find where it says Tables. I'll click on Tables. And it wants us to do a 2x3 table. So I'm just going to hover over. It wants us to do 2 columns by 3 rows, 2x3. Notice how I get 2x3. I haven't clicked on anything yet. I'm just hovering over it. So once I get it, notice how it kind of previews it for me. I'm going to go ahead and click on that 2x3 table. And now I have my table in there. And it wants me to start putting in my information. So I'm going to put my cursor in this first one here, my first column. And I'm going to type in education, capital E. Once I typed in education, I'm going to hit the down arrow key. I don't want to use the mouse because it'll take too much time. So now I'm going to type in experience. And I'm going to hit the down arrow key. And I'm going to type in required certifications. Using the arrow keys, I'm going to go over 1 up 2. I'm going to type in bachelor degree or Bachelor of Science, comma space, business analytics. Hitting the down arrow key. 1 year as a data analyst for a large academic research organization. Hit the down arrow key one more time, and I'm going to type in MCSA space BI, capital B, capital I, space capital R for reporting, comma space MCSE data management and analytics. And just double check all of your writing. Make sure everything is spelled correctly. Make sure that you have the appropriate capitalizations and punctuations. Just make sure everything looks like it does for your instructions on step number 7. Once you are satisfied with that, we're going to move down to step number 8. It wants us to select the table. So to select the entire table at once, let's go ahead and click right here on this icon in the top right left-hand corner. Let's click on that and notice how it highlights the entire table. Once we have the entire table highlighted, notice that I have two contextual tabs up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Layout tab. Under the Layout tab, I have an auto fit icon right here in the middle, right next to cell size. I will click on the auto fit, and it wants me to auto fit to contents. And boom, it will auto fit to contents for me. It also wants me to apply the table grid light table style. I'm going to go ahead and click on my table design contextual tab. And I'm going to come over here to my down arrow with the line above it right here. And I'm going to take a look here. It wants me to go to table grid light table style under plain tables. And it wants me to do first row, first style. So we're going to do this one right here. Table grid light, first one. I'm going to click on that. It also wants us to center the table. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my home tab here. Under my paragraph grouping, under the home tab, I'm going to click on the center icon right here. Notice that's going to center the table. And it wants us to select the blank paragraph marking underneath the table. And it wants us to change the line spacing after to 0. We did that under the Layout tab. And paragraph spacing after, let's change that to 0 points. And we are now done with step number 8, and our cover letter is looking really good. We do have some spelling errors, but we're going to fix that towards the end of the assignment. So for step number 9, it wants us to scroll down to our second page, which is our resume. And feel free to use this as your template for a resume if you would like to use it as a resume. But, so first thing it wants us to do is it wants us to insert a new second row. So that's easy. Notice that when I hover on this line right above education, I get this little icon, this little plus sign right here. Go ahead and click on that plus sign, and it's going to add in a new blank row 2. And let's go ahead and click right above education in this new blank cell, and let's all caps type in objective. Once you do that, you can hit the tab key, hit the arrow key over, but go ahead and get into the next column. And then I want you to go ahead and type in what is in step number 9. I am going to cheat, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste, keep text only. I'm going to copy and paste, make it go a little bit quicker for me. But go ahead and type in as a credentialed data analyst, comma, space, I am seeking a position as a business analyst with experience in data analytics at a research institution, comma, I am confident that my skills and knowledge will help your organization meet your stated goals of rapid growth and increased productivity. Make sure you get that period at the end. And go ahead and make sure you take a couple minutes to double check and make sure everything is spelled correctly, you've used the right punctuations and the right capitalizations, because it will mark you off wrong if you do any of that wrong. So now, with our cursor at the end of increased productivity, I want you to, it says add a 12-point spacing after the text you just typed in. That's easy. We're just going to go to our Layout tab again, and we're going to change our spacing after where it says 0 points. We're going to change it to 12. Notice that's going to put this blank line here. It's going to make it look like all the rest of them. We also have to do that to this cell here. So let's go ahead and put our cursor right here in the objective cell, and let's also change it to after to 12 points. If you don't, then it may mark you wrong, and we don't want that. And then lastly, we want to apply bold to the word objective. So let's go ahead and highlight the word objective. And I'm going to hold down the Control key and hit B for bold. Control B is the keyboard shortcut to bold something. And for my Mac users, there are some alternate instructions at the end of step 9. Make sure you follow those. For step number 10, it wants us to select the table and auto-fit contents. Well, we just did that on the first page. Let's go ahead and come up here to the top corner right above Will Franklin. Let's click on that icon again. Notice that it will select the entire document or the entire table. We'll go back to our layout contextual tab up here, and we will click on auto fit and auto fit to contents. It also wants us to remove the table borders. So with it still selected just like this, let's go ahead and find our table, and it might be under our table design here. Yep, it's under table design. Under borders, click on borders and do no borders. Now you might be looking at this and going, well, hey, Professor Reed, I see that you still have some borders going around there. These aren't borders, these are grid lines. So it is, once again, just like these paragraph markings. It's a visual reference just for the screen. They don't print up. So you can see where your cells are. So I recommend that you turn those on. You can do that by going to the borders icon again, clicking on borders, and clicking on view grid lines. I can turn them off, and then I can turn them back on again. But those view grid lines just gives you an idea of where the cells are. Now it wants us to apply a single solid line to the top of the table. So let's go ahead and click again on our down arrow under borders. And let's do borders and shading right here. Make sure it says apply to table. There's an icon right here that you can click on that will put a line at the very top of our table. It wants it to be 1.5 points. So right now we're at a half point. Let's go ahead and hit the down arrow here and select 1.5 points. Makes it a little bit thicker of a line. And go ahead and hit OK. And I'm going to deselect my table. And notice that I have one single line up here at the top of my document. Now it says in the first row of the resume table, this is for step 11, it wants us to select both cells. So let's go ahead and just, in this blank cell here, click, hold, and just drag over to the other cell here. And notice that they'll now both be highlighted. We want to merge the cells. We're going to come up here to our contextual tab, our layout tab here. We're going to click on merge cells. It wants us to center the 5 lines. I'm going to go to the home tab and I'm going to click on the center icon under paragraph right here. And it will center it for us right here. It also wants us to center the 5 lines and apply bold. So it wants us to apply bold. So I'm already on the home tab, I already get my font grouping. I'm just going to hit B for bold. Now in the first line here, it wants me to highlight Will Franklin. It wants me to apply a font size of 20. Notice when I highlight Will Franklin, I get this floating toolbar. This is a quick toolbar that you can easily make some quick changes. And notice I have my font size right here where it says 11. So I can either do it here or up on the home tab up at the top, but I'm going to do it right here because I want you to start getting used to using some of these advanced features. Go ahead and change the font size to 20. Notice how Will Franklin gets much bigger. It also wants me to change the line spacing before to 24 points. So I'm going to come back to my layout tab up here, and spacing before, we're going to change it to 24. And what that's going to do is it's going to put in a pretty big gap between that top line and Will Franklin. Just makes it look a little nicer. And now I'm going to click at the end of Will Franklin down here where it says Alcona.net. I'm going to put my cursor after .net, and I'm going to put a line spacing after to 24 points. And notice that's going to give me some nice white space around it. Just kind of makes it look more uniform, a little more clean. So it just puts a little bit of a space around our name and our address. And we are now done with step 11. For step number 12, it says in the cell to the right of relevant experience. So let's go ahead and find relevant experience. So right here in this data right here under data analyst, it wants us to apply bullets to the paragraph. So right here, it wants us to apply bullet from create custom databases all the way down to support the design research methodology. So highlight that. Let's go to our home tab. Under our paragraph grouping, just click on the bullets icon right here. And it wants us to do the similar bullets for under technician. So right here where it says computer peripherals, install computer hardware, get these lines right here. And let's also do the bulleted list there, making it look a little nicer. And we are done with step number 12, moving down to step number 13. It says click at the top of the document. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to scroll all the way to the top of the document. I'm going to put my cursor in front of the W. And it wants me to go to the review tab. So I'm going to click on the review tab. From the review tab, it wants me to go to the proofing, and I'm going to click on spelling and grammar. So I'm going to click on the corrections right here where it says spellings. Notice that website is spelled wrong. I can click on the right spelling right here. Notice that format is spelled wrong. Once again, I can click on the proper spelling here. Looks like I have 2 thes, so I can go ahead and delete the repeating word. And it looks like wood is also misspelled. I can go ahead and click on the appropriate wood. We're done. We can go ahead and, oh wait, we are not done. It looks like we still have an error. It looks like it says company wood. We need to change that. Let's go ahead and we're going to right click on wood. And we're going to select the proper spelling, the proper one that we should be using. Notice how it changes it for us. And I like the right clicking anyway better. I'm not a big fan of using the editor pane. I always like, I make so few spelling errors. I like to right click and fix them that way. Other than that, everything else is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and leave all of this here. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of my editor pane. And we're close to being done. We're now on step 14. We want to put in some document properties. Document properties are great to use because it helps you organize your files, helps you search if you need to search for a file. To add those in, let's go to our File tab. From our File tab, let's click on the Info grouping. Now I do want to make a disclaimer here. For Macs, there is an alternate way to do this, and it's called keywords. If you look on step 14, you will see your Mac alternate instructions. So make sure you use your instructions for Mac users, step 14. But for my Windows users, once you click on the info group here, click on show all properties. We're going to click on where it says tags, add a tag, and all lowercase, we're going to do cover, letter, comma, space, resume. For the subject, I'm just going to go ahead and type in CGS, all lowercase, doesn't make a difference. You can put anything in there that you want. And where it says author, Go Series, let's go ahead and right click on Go Series and remove person. And where it says add an author, go ahead and type your name. And we are done. Hit the save button right here. And I'm one of those paranoid people. I want to hit the save button one more time. And then I'm going to minimize my work. I don't like closing it just in case I lose the file. If I can't find it, maybe I didn't unzip it properly if I downloaded the zip file. So I'm going to minimize it. I'm going to go back to my downloading starting materials. I'm going to exit out of this. Choose my file, student file, hit open, upload. And then I will click Submit for Grading. And it should say, kudos, your file has been submitted. Hit Close Assignment. Now, if you're like me, I want to know how well I did. So I'm going to go check my grade. I'm going to click on the Home tab here. I'm going to scroll down to my MyLab IT student links. I'm going to find MyLab IT grades. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to load it in a new window. And it looks like I got a 97%. Oh no, I made a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to click on my submission. I'm going to view my submissions to see what I did wrong. And I'll click on my submission. And here I can see what it is that I did wrong. I'm going to scroll down. It looks like select the resume table, remove all borders, apply a custom single border to the table. And it looks like for some reason the top border width was not set to 1.5. I could have swore I did that. Word might have done something and changed it. I'm not sure. But for you, you can go back and fix it and return it in for a better grade. For me, I'm going to leave the 97. I'm happy with that. I can only get such a high grade, an A in the class anyway. But other than that, I will be working on the next walkthrough. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to me, and have a wonderful day. Hey, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be posting new walkthroughs and tech tips each week. Check back regularly for new content, and have a wonderful day.